Alright, so Trailblazer's been out a couple of days. Let's say you're about ready to pick your third relic, which is actually one of the bigger crossroads that you'll come to during your time playing Trailblazer. That's because it's the combat relic. At this point, it's time to pick which of the combat triangle points you're going to specialize in. Will it be melee, will it be range, or will it be magic? I just wanted to make a quick video going over my thoughts on each of the relics, specifically because I'm about... So let's go ahead and start with the melee relic. So I think without a doubt, this relic is going to be the best one to get for Slayer. There's not very good options for barrage tasks in any of the regions available. I'm sure there's a couple here and there that might be useful, but for the most part, without the Catacombs of Corinth, which is where most of those tasks happen, they're not really going to be happening too much. So most of the sustained damage output in Slayer is going to be from melee. Not to mention most of the monsters also have significant weaknesses to melee versus the other two parts of the combat triangle. This relic also provides a 25% passive defense buff, which is unique to it, and I think that is going to be very tempting for me, especially because I'm not very good at PVM. If you're not very good at PVM either, it might be worth taking just because of that. Let's say Garador smacks you a 30. This will reduce it down to, what would that be, like 22. So that's going to be a great passive unlock. Another good thing about melee is that pretty much all of the weapons that are used are 4-tick, so they become 2-tick, which is a huge benefit. The only real skilling benefit to this relic is in the increased regeneration that it has. It'll be good for situations where you'll be taking sustained low damage. I'm thinking like thieving and agility. It actually would probably be pretty nice for there. One other melee relic benefit that I haven't seen a lot of people consider is actually that there are 2 melee skills to train, whereas range and magic each only have 1. So you'll be able to have this benefit for more if you're going for extremely high levels in your combats. So overall, the melee relic is probably a pretty good pick if your focus is going to be primarily on Slayer, or you're a little bit worried about the PVM side of things or taking too much damage. Now let's look at the ranged relic. I think it's safe to say that this relic has the most utility of the 3. At least when it comes to mechanical combat things, where let's say you're doing Commander Ziliana and you're doing the crossbow run method where you run from each corner of the room, this relic will be perfect in that situation. Or you're doing Slayer tasks and you want to safe spot them to conserve supplies, perfect for that situation as well. Also, if you didn't get the regions required for Ava's Accumulator, it basically becomes one. It's actually even better than one. So that would be a very tempting unlock too if you don't have Avas. One really big downside I could see about the ranged relic is with the way the speed is calculated, you don't actually get a lot of benefit. For example, if we take a crossbow, which is 6-tick, and if you put it on rapid, it becomes 5. So that multiplier of 1/2 speed is actually applied after the rapid speed multiplier. So it becomes only 3-tick instead of 5. I mean, it's still a pretty big benefit, but if you consider it being applied the other way, where you actually take 6 divided by 2 and then subtract 1 for being on rapid, it would have been 2. Though honestly, that would have probably been overpowered, so it's balanced the way it is for a reason. But it definitely doesn't provide you as big of a buff, I think, to attack speed as melee does, where it's pretty clear no matter what weapon you're using, it's going to be a 2-tick. As for the range relic's skilling benefits, really none. I mean, you're saving some ammunition, which is really nice if you're in a region where there's some rare ammunition that you can't really get your hands on and you'll need a lot of. I'm thinking namely like blowpipe without desert, where you can't really get darts. Having that ammo conservation would be incredible. Or some rare bolts for range, maybe like onyx bolts or something that you'd want to conserve. That's really the only benefit I can think of. So just recapping the range relic, amazing if you didn't get Avas because you'll be able to conserve ammunition until you get the range cape. Best utility in the game for doing all sorts of combat where you might not want to take damage, but the downside is that you don't get as much benefit from the attack speed bonus. So finally moving on to magic. I think it's pretty obvious that this is the ultimate skiller's relic. The fact that the rune conservation works on non-combat spells as well is just incredible. The cost of an elk goes from 180 or whatever a nature rune costs down to 1/10 of that. You'll be using 1/10 of the runes no matter what non-combat spell you're using. It does unfortunately come with some pretty big drawbacks. This is definitely, I think, the worst combat relic, with the exception of if you unlock Desert and got Ancients. I think it's pretty obvious that half-speed Ancients with the extra accuracy is just going to be a blast. So if you have Desert and you have Ancients, I think that this combat relic would be extremely viable. However, outside of that, it just really doesn't hold up. Most spells are cast at a 5-speed tick, so they become 3. If we compare it to ranged, crossbows also become a 3 tick, but without Ancients and without things like a Book of Fire, magic is capping out at maybe like 25-30 damage per cast. Ranged can probably smack 40s at that speed, so it really isn't the most viable combat relic. However, it does have a lot of edge casey situations where it's extremely viable due to monsters having low magic defense or magic levels. I can't imagine what it would be like to consider alching death runes as profitable. The training options will just be through the roof. It'll unlock all sorts of new metas. It's just really exciting all around for skilling. So just to recap the magic relic, incredible skilling benefits, very little combat benefit compared to the other two, unless you're planning to use Ancients extensively, which would just be amazing. So as is the case with pretty much everything in this game mode, I think that your combat relic choice is going to be entirely down to your individual playstyle and your region unlocks. It's entirely worth weighing the pros and the cons of each against your playstyle to see what benefits you'll receive and what downsides you'll have to deal with. As for me, I'm a big skiller, and I've chosen to unlock Kandarin, Asgarnia, and the Fremennik region. Based on these 3 regions, I don't think I have a lot of great melee options available to me, so I don't think I'll be leaning towards the melee relic. I'm definitely leaning more towards the range relic and the magic relic. The range relic utility is very tempting to me, specifically because I'll have God Wars and I will be planning to do Commander Zilliana at some point with probably the crossbow method. But also, I'm planning to use Lunars extensively, so having that rune savings would just be incredible. I can't imagine what it would be like to be saving all those runes when I'm crafting my super glass make or whatever else I'll need, or even just alching runes or whatever easy items I can get for profit, because cost of an alch has been divided by 10. The downside to each, for ranged, I'm pretty much stuck with crossbows based on my regions, so I'm stuck with that 3-tick attack speed. There's nothing that really gets me to 2 that I would be able to use. I mean, I could use darts or something in some locations, but that's not really going to get me through the endgame PVM. For magic, I'm actually going to have access to the Trinity of the Seas, which is a pretty edge-casey magic weapon that, when combined with an occult necklace, which I'll also have access to, can actually hit 30s. And it's actually a 4-tick weapon, so it'll become 2-tick. That considered, I'll be able to hit 30s at a 2-tick speed. Seems like it's a pretty good option. So for me, I've got to go with the magic relic. I'm not much of a PVMer. I like skilling. The thought of being able to cast spells way more often in much more situations than I ever thought were viable is super exciting to me. The damage output will be less at bossing, but I'm probably not going to spend that much time there, honestly. So yeah, that about sums up my thoughts about the 3 combat relics. If you had any other thoughts, feel free to let me know in the comments down below. And also, please give the video a like and subscribe. I'm currently doing a Trailblazer series, and I'm trying to post videos at least every few days. So if you'd like to check up on that progress series, also feel free to check that out. Thank you so much for watching. Best of luck in your own Trailblazer progress, and I'll see you back for the next video.